We're going to bring the meeting to City of Cherokee Village regular City Council meeting October 19th, 2023 to order. If you please stand and join with the Pledge of Allegiance with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll recognize a moment of silence, please. Amen. Amen. Mr. Jeff. All ready. Miss Clerk, roll call, please.
Harrison.
Here.
Rachel Tatum.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Ishmael.
Here.
Jeff Tatum.
Here.
Roland. Here.
Yeah.
Mayor, clerk, and attorney in attendance.
Alrighty. Let's need the approval of tonight's agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to amend the agenda and add it for ordinance number 2023-06. And could you put that under new business?
Alrighty. I have a motion to accept tonight's agenda with one amendment to amend to new business. We'll call it number 1A. It'll be ordinance number 2023-06. I have a second.
I second that.
Motion made by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Have any public comments or any questions on agenda items? We had a chance to read over the minutes from the last meeting.
I motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Martin to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Saying there's none, well, not exactly none correspondence, but the correspondence I do have in my mayor's report, so I'll save it to there. We had a chance to look over the financial report. Any questions on the financial report? I'll try to speak loud enough everybody can hear me.
Mayor, I thought this month we were supposed to reset our budget. And I noticed that isn't happening again.
Reset.
Remember, we were supposed to go through and
Adjust our line
adjust our line
so
items and
balance.
stuff. So, with everything that's going on, I understand, but that's 2 months we put it off now that I can recall. Last month and this month.
Okay.
So, just wanted to bring it to your attention.
All right. I know we normally
We will do it at the end of the year too. But
one thing I'll give credit to the department heads is with the 2023 budget, they've done very good about staying within the numbers provided to them. Okay, well, if there's no questions on that, we'll move on to the mayor's report. I got a 2-pager tonight, so you'll have to listen to me for just a minute. Of course, just a little, I know everybody knows with the change in temperatures and the leaves falling, so as we get into fall, please remember if you're burning your yard debris, to be sure to let the Base Arc Fire Station know that you're doing it, so they can let you know if it's a good day to burn. Everybody knows that school started back, so just everybody please be mindful of the big yellow school buses and all the children and extra traffic on the road. We do have a congestion problem at the south entrance in the mornings and afternoons, so just be mindful during them times when you go through. Actually, I got a little update on the website. Miss Penny advised me today or yesterday, it was today, who was talking about her and Misty had got, wasn't it you and Misty had finally got the
We gained
passwords and
access-
usernames?
We gained access to the old website, and I have now transferred that to the new guy that's constructing it.
Yeah, so hopefully since we was able to finally get access to the old website, it won't be long till he'll have the new one up and running. The new phone system people, they've been in and done their evaluations. The internet, Fidelity Internet people has come in and done their evaluations, so it's still moving forward. I had a conversation with Bruce Street, engineer for Arkansas Department of Transportation. He said that the bridge replacement is still on schedule. He actually told me he looked online and said that it had been put out to bid. It will be in their newsletter November 1st. He said they'll take bids the month of November. He said he couldn't advise me of a start date until the bids are accepted. He said there's a slim chance that the bids might be rejected and they have to go back, but he said the project is on go. October 31st, here at the City Hall parking lot, which will be Halloween, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're going to have a trunk or treat in the parking lot. So if you have children want to come by, please bring them by. Just the ones that are displaying, just remember this is a children's event. Try to keep it, no scary stuff going to scare the kids. We want to give them a good, safe place to come where they can have fun that night. On to the correspondence part. I have myself, along with the fire chief, Cal Dents, we have been in a few meetings with Mr. Clay Stone, the city's attorney of record for the lawsuit, the CVSID and CV Waterworks and the City of Cherokee Village lawsuit over the hydrant money. Cherokee Village SID had filed a motion for summary judgment, and myself and the fire chief had a couple conference calls over the last couple weeks on this matter with Mr. Stone. And I advised him, as we talked in the last council meeting, we explained to him that this lawsuit is a contractual dispute between them and not the city, meaning SID and the waterworks. Mr. Stone is prepared a response, and he sent it to Mr. Rob Bratton, the judge. For everybody's information, the hearing on the summary judgment motion is set for October 27th at 10 a.m. at the Sharp County Courthouse, with the trial date to be November 2nd and 3rd at 9 a.m. at the same place. So anybody that wants to attend. We did get together, the 2024 Budget Committee. We got together and formed the 2024 Budget Committee. They'll be made up of Heather Harrison, Rob Smith, Paul Hinch, Misty Casey, and Deb that work in the City Hall. Our next budget meeting will be October 24th at 2 p.m. here in the City Hall in this room. It's open to the public. Something I added just today because he got with me yesterday is I've been in contact with Mark Powell, which is an engineer for Energy Power Company. Everybody knows our stoplight out here. Anytime the wind blows hard, the stoplight, the power goes out. And a little history on that is when that stoplight was originally built, none of them businesses was at the south entrance. So the power for the stoplight actually comes from Pottawatomie Drive back where the car auction is and runs on a drop all the way up there. So it tends to get a lot of, anytime the wind blows, it blows a fuse and they have to go replace it. So anyway, my conversation with Mark Powell is that the Energy is working on transferring the drop, the service for that stoplight, to the primary circuit that's out there on the highway. So he said it would be very rare for it to go out. I mean, it would pretty much have to be the substation would have to go out before the lights would go out again. But even in that slim chance, I've actually talked to an electrician. I'm going to meet the Triple C electrician, which is the one that done the lights here, to get a bid on putting a generator plug in just in case when I worked for the city of Ash Flat, we actually had that set up at the city of Ash Flat, and to my surprise, you can run that stoplight off a 3,000 watt generator, so if it happens to come to that. So anyway, that's my long mayor's report. Thank you for putting up with me. Move on to the department reports. I know we had a few that didn't get turned in time to get put on the website. They'll be in next month's packet of the stuff we had going on. Cal, do you have anything to add for the fire department?
I put in there that in my report that I've been collaborating with Charlie. I have a fire-wise item in my budget where we're collaborating on raise and removal because those funds can be used for that. I met with an individual that Charlie's worked with before that does raise and removals. That's a lot more expensive process than it probably once was. And we were figuring on, the city has a negotiated rate for containers with waste management, which is about half of what it would cost. Essentially, and we looked at a couple of mobile homes that have been on the list for a very, very long time. Essentially $4,000 for that man to move his equipment up here, load them up and put them in containers. He estimated 3 containers. The ones we looked at had solid foundation, so there's a lot more material than just the mobile home itself. The containers at our cost are around, I think Charlie said, $800 a piece, so that's $6,400 to remove one mobile home. And that just all occurred in this last week.
Okay. Just for a question, do you have an update on anything on the new fire apparatus?
I do not. I meant to reach out to him today, but I got tied up in some other things and he's not done. But I suspect, I don't know for a fact because I've never received an update. He's pretty good about keeping me up to date if something changes.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, no news is good news. But, there was a UAW strike.
Yes.
I don't know if that affected the truck line or not, because they only struck at certain plants. And that's what I was going to reach out and ask him and say, hey, did that strike affect our pretty big day? But
Just for I know you guys on the budget committee and been around a while, probably know, just an FYI, if we do carry over in the next year, that line item that was put in his budget for the apparatus will have to be carried over into next year.
yeah, for budget purposes, I mean,
For budgeting purposes.
because we've already earmarked it. It'll be a straight in, straight out kind of thing. So.
Got anything from the police department, Mr. Monty?
No, sir.
Going smooth. Miss Megan, animal control?
We're still working hard.
Well, good deal. They're doing some good things out there. All righty, Mr. Rob or Miss Heather, Miss Pam.
That would be me or Pam.
Yeah,
Pam, if you don't mind, I'll start off. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, we're wrapping up and getting some a lot of solid stuff happening for our eclipse coming up next year, so that's really what I'm going to focus on more than anything. We've invited the Arkansas Tourism Board to come and visit with us on November 16th. This is the entire board for the Arkansas Tourism. We'll be hosting them at Cooper's Point for the evening for a meal there. And of course, as always, we're going to have our hands out asking for money from them. But this is an incredible opportunity for us to shine for them and also get on the map again. We've been working with them quite a bit, trying to get Cherokee Village a little bit more visible in the state of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. With that being said, we've created an additional group for the eclipse. This is an independent group that feeds into the AMP. They've been working now for about 6 months, and what they're doing is generating a lot of information from SID, from emergency control people, and they're reaching out into the community. This is a group of people from throughout the community that are working on this. And they're coming up with a lot of ideas for what we can do during the eclipse. So we've been working with Create Bridges for funding. We've worked with the Hardy AMP. We've collected funding from them. And we've collected funding from Ozark Gateway Tourism. So we've already pulled these groups in to work with us as far as financing some of the things that we've got going for the day of the eclipse. Tonight we have a special use permit that will be before City Council. With the approval of that permit, that will allow us to go beyond the scope of where we're at presently. We can approach the Arkansas Tourism Board, ask them for funds for what we're doing, and give them a concrete budget on what we're looking at to fund these entire 3 days of activities. We are planning a 3-day event for the eclipse. It will be Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're working to keep the folks that are coming into Cherokee Village beyond the time of the eclipse. What we've discovered from other people who have had these eclipses in their cities is that 5 minutes after the eclipse is over with, it's mass chaos because you have all the people coming into the area trying to exit. So our strategy with this is to have bands playing, to have a kiddie corner, to have a Ferris wheel going, to have food vendors on site, and we will have several vendors also selling wares during the event. But we're going to really amp this up the day of the eclipse, so we can really capture these people in one spot and hopefully get them, a few of them to stay over. The event itself is going to have the Ferris wheel. This is going to be kind of our crown. With that, we're going to have music coming and going throughout the entire event. We'll have all kinds of vendors and food vendors in. We're going to have a kids corner, so the kids will be taken care of and something to keep them busy. We'll also have a 65-foot Teletron, I don't know if that's the right word for it, set up, and this is going to capture the games for the weekend for the guys who really want to sit around, have a drink and just watch a basketball game. This will be available for them, and this will run throughout the weekend also. Sunday we'll pretty much have the same events as we've got on Saturday. Monday, like I said, is going to center around the eclipse itself. We're going to have countdowns to that event, and we'll offer glasses and different things for people to be able to view it. We've got a perfect area behind the old Pringer station. There are no trees there, nothing to obstruct. If we get a very large crowd, we have already talked to SID. We can bleed in behind the dam for Cherokee Lake. We've got enough over there for 500 to 600 people to stand and look up. So we've got that. We will be closing off, or we're going to be requesting tonight that we close off Santee from the bank all the way to the intersection down here, so we can have one huge festival from City Hall all the way over to the Otter Creek on the other side of Cooper's Point. With the Ferris wheel in town, we really feel like we're going to be able to contact our news stations out of Jonesboro, have them come in and do some special ops for us. What we're looking at here, we are the advertising and promotion for Cherokee Village, so what we're looking at as our endpoint is to get as much bang for our buck as we possibly can for the events that we're staging in April. That's going to be our Pie Festival. We'll have the Easter weekend for that month, and of course the eclipse itself. So we want to capture this and get as much publicity as we possibly can for the city of Cherokee Village. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. On the airport minutes, I'm just going to let people know, the public know, if they haven't heard yet, but the airport committee, the airport has been doing some amazing things out there with Mr. Owl. They was able to buy the 2 properties at the end of the airport there by on the 4-lane, which, like I said, I don't know how many people remembers this. Been going on for a long time. The trees that was there at the end of the airport was causing them to have to use a shortened landing path, so they was having trouble getting the bigger airplanes in. Well, since they were able to buy the property, now they can cut the trees down and get the airport back to its full usable length, which means they can start landing the jet airplanes and stuff out there again. So that's a pretty good. They should have that done by the end of the year, if I remember talking to them just right. So They got some good things going on. There again, we go back to the, and I just want to get it out there, we go back to the Tri-County Solid Waste Authority. They're struggling. They're struggling really bad. They need some help to figure out how they're going to move forward after the first of the year. And we're going to have to get the county judges together to help the cities in which would be Sharp, Fulton, Izard County. Yeah, Sharp, Fulton, Izard County judges. We're going to have to get the judges together so they can help the cities to keep that thing open. If you looked at the Sharp County Life Center, the Senior Citizen Center here next door. Now this is in the Quad Cities, but they were able to serve in the last month. They served 2,121 meals from here to the senior citizens. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. That comes from right here. So that being said, we move into old business. The old business number 1 is Animal Control Committee. That is mine. Me and Mr. Paul is going to get together. I haven't got everything done yet. I've got a rough draft, but I don't have anything that I've been able to turn over to Mr. Abel to get the legal wording just right yet. So I would like for that to be. We need to move that into next month's regular meeting. We should have everything ironed out by then. Get a vote on it and let you know who's on the committee. The 2024 Budget Committee, as I said before, I guess I kind of went over this on my mayor's report, didn't I?
I think you managed that, yeah.
But as I said again, the 2024 Budget Committee names is Heather Harrison, Rob Smith, Paul Hinch, Misty Casey, and Deb. And forgive me, I can't pronounce her last name very well. Deb W. And I said the meeting is going to be the 24th, which at 2 p.m. here at the City Hall. The Waterworks lawsuit, I went over that with Mr. Stone. Like I said, if anybody wants to be there on the 27th, it'd be nice to see everybody. So with all that, we can move into the new business. And as Mr. Abel, we actually should have had this brought up at last meeting, but we need to pass the resolution for the to reaffirm the ad valorem taxes. It's not changing. We're not changing anything. We just letting everybody else know. We just have to approve it every year so it can be collected. We're not changing anything.
Do we have to do it twice, once for each county, or once is okay?
This is written for both counties.
For both counties? I don't have the paperwork in front of me, so.
No, he said it's written for both counties.
Okay, so I could just make a motion that to pass the five mills, correct? That's what it says?
Yes.
I make a motion that we maintain our ad valorem at 5 mills, and that's my motion for 2024.
I second.
Alrighty, a motion made by Mr. Martin to pass resolution number 2023-09, seconded by Mr. Smith, which is a resolution to levy ad valorem taxes for the counties of Sharp and Fulton, Arkansas, and for the city of Cherokee Village, Arkansas. Do we have to read the whole thing, Mr. Abel?
No, you don't have to read the resolutions.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Rachel Tatum,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Jeff Tatum,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Alright, thank you all. Alrighty, on to new business number 1A, which that is the ordinance number 2023-06.
What is that ordinance?
We need a motion to put it on the floor?
Yeah, I motion we put it on the floor. The ordinance is for,
Miss Penny, you want to read it?
Same thing we did with Steve.
Ordinance
Yes.
number 2023-06. An ordinance specifically permitting a council member of Cherokee Village, Arkansas, to lease land to Cherokee Village Advertising and Promotion Commission, and prescribing the extent that such authority declares an emergency for other purposes. It also states in here that Heather is, where does it go? She is part of the business that is doing this lease, giving her permission to do that.
And the lease is with A&P, so that's why there's a possible.
Yeah, just to keep anything on the,
So I make a motion that we pass that ordinance.
I second.
Well, you have to,
you have to have a motion to waive the 3 readings of the ordinance first.
exactly.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to suspend the rules, waive the requirement for 3 readings, and pass it at the first reading. And then we have to do an emergency clause afterwards, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a second.
Second.
Okay.
All right. Got a motion by Mr. Martin to move to suspend the rules and waive the requirement that an ordinance be read 3 times on 3 different days for our consideration of ordinance number 2023-09.
06.
Oh, 06. Yeah. 2023-06. Dealing with Miss Heather Harrison having business interest in Big Otter Creek Properties LLC, and that the ordinance be brought up for final passage by this council without the necessity of reading the ordinance. Seconded by Mr. Smith.
So now it'd be
Or
discussion.
Mr. Ishmael, seconded by Mr. Ishmael.
Mr. Mayor, if we could just bring this up for discussion, I see a couple of people that have got some looks on their face. We're not running through something here really, really quickly. This is kind of what we did with Steve.
On the record.
He's got a record that works in town, and in order for the city to engage in business with him, we had to pass an ordinance to make that plausible and make it doable. The Eclipse event that we're having will be over behind Pringer's gas station, and Mrs. Heather owns a portion of that property, and we will be getting a $1 lease for that property to use it for the event. We have to do this for insurance purposes, and it's just a dotting the I's and crossing the T type of thing. But in order to do that, we have to pass a resolution that the city can do business with one of its city council members.
Yes.
It's an ordinance, and it's only this specific event, so
Yes.
that's all it's about.
Okay?
Miss Heather has to abstain and I can't vote. Need a roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Jeff Tatum,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Harrison,
Abstain.
Rachel Tatum.
Yes.
Motion passed.
They need to call it up for final passage. Is that
I
right,
make a
Mr. Evans?
motion that we accept I'm having a senior moment.
2023.
Emergency clause.
The emergency clause, thank you very much.
Now you have to pass
That-
the ordinance.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to
I'm
pass
out
the
of
ordinance
order
first.
again.
You're
Sorry.
you're jumping ahead.
Jumping in, I make a motion that we pass the ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Martin to
Accept the ordinance.
accept the ordinance, final passage of ordinance 2023-06, seconded by Mr. Ishmael. Roll call vote, please.
Martin,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Jeff Tatum,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Harrison,
Abstain.
Rachel Tatum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Now I make a
There
motion
you
for the
go.
emergency clause.
There we can get to that.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Martin to pass the emergency clause on ordinance number 2023-06, seconded by Mr. Ishmael. Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Ishmael,
Yes.
Jeff Tatum,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Harrison,
Abstain.
Rachel Tatum,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay.
Last one.
Alrighty. Now, on to new business number 2, which is the short-term special use permit 2023-13, the Eclipse and related requests.
I'll make a motion that we accept the special use permit, but I do want discussion.
I second that.
That's a new one on me. Mr. Martin makes a motion to
Accept it.
accept the special use permit.
I want to ask a question.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Abel?
Does discussion?
I know there's a
come
motion on the
prior
floor,
to-
so hold on just a second.
I think
But
we
can we
have to
just
put
put
it
it on the floor for
before we-
discussion before
Yeah.
we vote on it? There we go. Mr. Martin, will you rescind your motion?
I'll rescind my motion then.
We're going
I
to
thought we had
put number 2, short-term special use permit on the floor for discussion. All righty.
So-
Who wants
so-
to go first?
My question is, beer garden, who's holding the beer license and where is it at? And do we have to do something with the state?
Would it be, Mr. Abel, would it be, I know Miss Amanda Smith is the representative for that
Yeah, they,
group. Would it be prudent to bring her to the podium for rebuttals, or?
but, you know, to get a beer garden permit, you gotta go through the state.
State, that's what I thought. And then somebody has to sponsor it, I thought, too. So
We're
somebody
working on that right now. We have not decided, well, we're actually looking for someone to run the beer garden independently of us. If we cannot do that, then the A&P will step in and we would run the beer garden. And we have done that in the past for Pam, we did that for one of our fall festivals, didn't we? Where we stepped in and ran
And the anniversary.
and the anniversary.
So you have a license?
We have a precedence. It's a special use.
Okay. So that's, the beer garden's only based on if everything falls into place, because it's already
Yes.
on your thing, so that's why I
Yes.
was wondering. I'm happy then.
Next, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, I have a concern. In the working meeting, it was stated by Mr. Rhodes that the 35 days that's requested on the special use permit is what's driving a cost of $80,000 for a Ferris wheel. And as such, given the financial situation, not only within the city, but also economically of what we have going on within our community, and one needs to just turn on the evening news to see some of the challenges that are there. But I've gotten a lot of feedback from area businesses that have been made aware of this cost, and I realize that the committee has worked very hard, and I appreciate that very much. But my concern is having a piece of equipment, and I'm completely supportive of the events for the Eclipse. But the events of the Eclipse are basically the festival itself, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of April, and, which would be 3 days, and then if you allow a one-day setup and a one-day takedown of the Ferris wheel, then you're looking at 5 days, but the special use permit asks for 35 days. And based on that, I would believe that the cost of the Ferris wheel would be significantly reduced. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a nice feature during the festival when we have all these extra people coming in, but I do believe that Easter is perhaps a different focus in terms of that weekend for most people in our community, and to stretch it out all the way to the Pie Festival is perhaps a less than prudent use of resources within the community, whether we're talking A&P tax dollars, whether we're talking the dollars that would be expended by the people coming into our community, or the area businesses that would be pressed for support in terms of sponsorships. And so I think that perhaps the time frame could be reduced to the 5 days on inclusive of the festival. That's the first question I have, or comment that I have on that. The second one is that the issue of parking. So it's given an indication here is we have an illustration here that parking would be inclusive of City Hall. And the comments that were made again during the planning meeting was that, and perhaps someone from the A&P Commission can comment, but the comments that were forwarded or presented by Mr. Rhodes at the planning meeting was that there were parking fees that were going to be charged during the event, and that was a source of revenue for the event. And I'm wondering how a commission, or on behalf of the city, or whatever effort, is allowed to charge for a publicly owned parking lot.
We can't. We can't charge fees on,
I'm just asking if that might be addressed by either the city attorney. I don't mean to throw a wrench in the works, don't mean to throw a wet blanket on it, but that question I didn't even have during the planning meeting. That was raised by a citizen, subsequent to the Monday meeting. So those are two issues, and then I'll pause and allow someone from the A&P Commission to either respond, or if the mayor wants to go on to someone else. Whatever you'd like.
Do you care? I want to know who is going to pay for the extra police and fire that's going to be required. Is that going to fall to the city? Because we don't have that money budgeted anywhere. So, I just need to know that is A&P, is that part of the $145,000, or is that falling to the city?
The A&P is planning on addressing that. We are also working on our 2024 budget, and encompassed in that budget would not only be this event, the Pie Festival event. We've been requested from the police department and the fire department to possibly chip in and help with the 4th of July. So we're looking at doing a budget that would include all of the events in that, just depending on what we've got available. Like I said, we're working on our budget right now, but it is understood that we will have a line item for those services.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Taylor.
A couple questions real quick, and I'm sorry I was not at the meeting Monday, and I apologize for that. One of the questions I had about this, if we approve it, y'all gonna sign these contracts for money that we don't have. What happens if it rains, it's cloudy that day? Is the city going to be responsible for those contracts?
There are no refunds. We are stating that on our website, so everyone who is purchasing tickets in every city that we have talked to that handles an eclipse like this, it doesn't matter if it's snowing or rain or whatever. If it's just cloudy, these people are going to head to another area to observe this. These people are coming from Tokyo, they're coming from Europe, they're coming from all over the globe to do this. They're very used to having adversity when they come to one of these events, and if it is cloudy here and it is not cloudy down in Russellville, they're all going to head south. But the way we have done it, the way we have contacted our Airbnbs in the city, is it is a 3 or 4 night minimum stay for that weekend, and there are no refunds.
That's not what I'm after. And I apologize.
In other words, we wouldn't be losing any money.
Tickets are free.
The money that we collect will stay.
Okay, so you're telling me before the event, you're going to have the $145,000 covered?
That's our aim.
it's in their budget.
But if you do, I'm not trying to get into an argument with you, but if you do not have the money to cover this,
Then
This
A&P
money will be, the city will be
No,
responsible.
the A&P is an independent council, and the A&P would be responsible, not the city. It would be the Advertising and Promotions Commission.
Which is part of this, I mean, if you don't have the money to cover the contracts you've signed. Mayor, can you tell me what would happen? Would the city be responsible?
So, to clarify Mr. Tatum's question, and maybe in my own mind as well, you're signing a contract with a Ferris wheel company, with whatever other vendors and everything. So my question is, you have a no refund policy for the people that are purchasing the tickets, but what is the provision of the contract if you basically have a rain out and now you have a Ferris wheel sitting there?
Our Ferris wheel company will work with us with that. They've already indicated that if any weekend, not only the weekend of the eclipse, but let's say the second weekend after the eclipse, it rains and they're not allowed, they will prorate back to us that amount of money for those days. So that part has been handled.
Okay, and then again to Mr. Tatum's question, and perhaps Mr. Abel, I understand the legality of the commission is responsible, but the commission doesn't have taxing authority, the city does. So if I'm a contractor and I have a contract with the city, with the A&P commission, and for whatever reason, the events or what Mr. Tatum described, you have a series of events where there are not funds to timely pay the contractor because the A&P commission signed a contract and there are not sufficient funds. How does the contractor get paid without litigation for non-payment?
Probably does have to litigate it. But it doesn't change the fact that the city is not obligated.
To that point, if I could, we've already collected $20,000 from the different organizations that we're working with, and this is just to get the ball rolling on. I mean, and those costs are included in this. But if you can imagine, as soon as you give us this permit, then that allows us to go out and hit the ground running and start soliciting for these funds. We're not just staying local. We want to go to the Arkansas Tourism Committee. We want to secure funds from them. That would be in the neighborhood of $25,000. And then we'll go to the local businesses here in the area. Our pitch to them is going to be a little bit different than what you're hearing from us tonight. The pitch to them is the advertising value for this region that we will have a one-time opportunity to capture. We're not going to get another eclipse in our lifetime. It's going to be just this one time. We have talked to other cities who have gone through the same phenomena. These people are coming, and what we would like to do, what we're asking you to do, is allow us to put on our best face for the public for the time that they're here. If we do nothing, and 5,000 people show up in Cherokee Village and they have nothing to do, they're going to be in your driveways. I mean, they're going to be driving up and down the streets of Cherokee Village. They're going to be looking for a place with they're not going to have any focus on what to do, and people just turn into masses when this takes place. What we're trying to do is create a focus of an area where these people can come, get information, and view the eclipse or find out other places where they could go to the eclipse, but basically information central on the eclipse itself. And also in doing that, we would like to create a buzz for Cherokee Village, something that gets out to the local news stations, that gets out to Little Rock, that we get write-ups in magazines about thinking outside the box for a city. We didn't just throw this together in a day. We've been working on this for 6 months to bring all the pieces in, and it was a lot larger than this, if that would scare you at all. And we pulled it back into something that we felt was more controllable. So that's where we're at today. Mr. Thompson, going back to your point real quick on why we have the Ferris wheel for the month, we did get a substantial discount for doing that. But our vision again is we've got 6 months between now and this event. We would like to get with other people and talk about what could we do for Easter weekend to encompass that Ferris wheel along with an Easter egg hunt. Maybe get our fire department to move locations and do something in that area. But we can't reach out to those people until we know we have this locked down. The same thing with one weekend where there will be nothing going on. It would be awesome to get your wife involved in something like that for the Charities for Unwed Mothers and get something going on where there's a color run that goes along with it. We have a stage set up for a month's period of time. We have 6 months to prepare for it. I think we should take this opportunity and make the absolute most out of it from a newspaper perspective, from an evening news perspective, just for something in general that people will talk about and put Cherokee Village to that name. That's what we're working towards.
An additional comment, if I might, and that is, I think it's wonderful, everything that has been considered and the planning and the effort on the part of the commission. I think it's great. I have one issue, and that is, I do believe the majority of these people are not going to hang around for 35 days. And I do believe that you have an opportunity to repeat, as you said earlier, to pull back on just one aspect of this, and it's a very expensive aspect of it, and that is the Ferris wheel. To pare it back from 35 days to possibly 5 days, and then you would have the ability to make sure that, I don't know where the other infrastructure is going to come from in terms of porta potties and those type of things that are, how those are going to be placed and so forth. And, I know you're going to have to really do a lot of things as far as infrastructure to make sure that we're prepared for the people on the 3 days, the day of the eclipse and the day before and right after.
The first thing we did,
I
with all the mass planning we did, the very first phone call we made was the porta potties. We have 180 of them.
I don't want to one-off on just the porta potties. I'm just saying as a general comment, the infrastructure. And my comment is that you've made other decisions to pull back, and I'm suggesting to the members of the commission that they should seriously consider paring back the Ferris wheel from 35 days to 5 or a shorter time frame, and then you'll have more flexibility to do other things, because in my opinion, and again, it's been expressed to me by several members of the community, individuals and business owners, that people are coming here. The eclipse is happening whether we do anything or not. People are coming for the eclipse. To put a Ferris wheel in town center is not the draw. It may assist in certain areas, but there are people that are going to go to the ball fields in Ash Flat because of parking and seating. There are people that are going to go to the stadium at the high school. There are people that are going to go to my parking lot, Mr. Ishmael's parking lot, and because of the eclipse. And I'm just saying that it seems like a very large commitment to focus on just one item, and that being the Ferris wheel. You want to put up all the other aspects, and I think it's wonderful, all the planning and effort, but it's not just my opinion that I'm bringing forward. It's other taxpayers and businesses.
It's unfortunate. We went to city council our city attorney for this, and he said just to expedite things, to put it all in one. And this probably would have been an easier process on all of us if we had had two special use permits in front of you. What I'm hearing from the council is you don't have a problem with what we plan on doing for the weekend of the eclipse. Is that true? Okay. What you have a problem with is if we extend the use of the Ferris wheel. I would ask that, I mean, again, we have 6 months before this event takes place, and that's the reason why we're here so early. But if we could get agreement on the special use permit for the weekend of the event, we've got to launch tomorrow morning. I mean, we're getting ready to go with our consulting company out of Fort Smith, and they've got the entire page done. But with your approval for the weekend of the event as it stands, and allow us the next 2 months to get together with what we can and cannot do.
It's all together.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't pull it back.
No, nor do we need to.
Then I would suggest that until you can either separate or shorten that aspect of it, then I would suggest we either table it or you find a way to resubmit it, and we can call a special meeting for that purpose. I understand time is short and that you're trying to move it forward, but I think it's a critical enough
Mr. Mayor,
issue.
I would urge that we have this vote tonight and see who votes for it. That's where I'm at. Let's see if we've got the council approval for
Do you want Amanda to get up
this.
and maybe she can kind of enlighten you on the whole plan for the month, and that might give you
No,
some
because I don't have a problem with the whole plan. I have a problem with one aspect.
I'm talking about the Ferris wheel for the whole month. Like maybe she could enlighten you on things that the A&P were thinking about. Like, is there something she could answer for you that
What's the
might?
total cost of the?
It doesn't alter the cost of the Ferris wheel. That's my point.
And
The total cost is
we feel like we're
$80,000.
pretty much covered.
If we rented it only for the one weekend,
Basically free.
it would be $18,000.
We're talking 5,000 people.
So
Okay,
What is going to be
I'm sorry, can
98?
that point be brought forward? I appreciate that comment. So your comment, if I heard you correctly, why don't you come up and make that? The differentiation of the one weekend versus the 35 days in the requested permit.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so for the 30 days, it's 80,000. It would have been 98, and they were able to work a deal on that. For just the weekend, it would be 18,000 because it costs money just to get it here and to set it up.
Understood.
To do that.
And I really appreciate that clarification. So
Yes.
we're looking at 35 days and 80,000 or,
And it will run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
right.
On the weekends.
Okay.
Is what it is scheduled to run.
Okay, so we're looking at 1 day for setup, the 3-day weekend, and 1 day for teardown, whether it's 3 days or 35 days. Yeah, so I appreciate that distinction, and that therein lies my concern. If the committee or the commission has considered paring down other aspects of it.
We have not considered paring down any
No.
other aspect.
Well, Mr. Smith said that
Well, I mean, at one
plans
point, we were talking about doing a 5K run out at
He's
Omaha
talking
Center.
Other things,
Yeah,
not the restrooms.
these were things that, yeah,
Not the.
No, and I
that we're not even
understand
bringing
that.
tonight.
So my one issue is, do we spend $80,000 on a Ferris wheel or $18,000 on a Ferris wheel for a difference of $62,000?
Absolutely. The whole point of A&P is for advertising and promotion. And to be able to have it here for that long of a span gives Cherokee opportunities that no one else is putting forth
I understand.
in the state that we know of. And that's a lot of opportunities for this community. I know that you talked about people going to Ash Flat Ballpark. I mean, I go out there and walk. It's very nice out there. Or going to the A.L. Hudson building as well. But we want them here. We want the draw to be here in Cherokee. We want to give them the reason to come here, buy the 3-day pass, to come and get in, ride the Ferris wheel, bring their families, have a great weekend event. We want them to rent from the local Airbnbs that are here in Cherokee. We want them to come here and be here
And I
provide a
agree
great
with,
event.
I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that beyond the eclipse, beyond that
So if
weekend.
we financially don't bring enough in,
No,
is what
ma'am.
you're saying, to cover it?
I'm saying that the opinion that was expressed to me, one issue,
Okay.
don't do the Ferris wheel for 35 days, because this is a 35-day permit.
Yes, sir.
Don't do the Ferris wheel for 35 days. Do the permit for the Ferris wheel, which is what we're voting on tonight. We're not voting on all the events and all the effort, which I commend you for. This is specified in here, the Ferris wheel, and that this is going to include that for 35 days.
Correct.
On that basis alone,
Yeah.
because of a cost of $80,000 versus $18,000, I'm sorry, I can't support it. If you're not willing to take the time, I'm willing to take time to go and come back here next week, this weekend, whenever, to reconvene if you want to resubmit based on not having a Ferris wheel for 35 days. But if it's a Ferris wheel for 35 days and that's a one or done, I'm done.
Yes.
I can't support that.
Hey, Steve, can I ask you, like, I mean, I see where you're looking at the numbers, 80,000 versus 18 if it was just for the 3 days, but the city's not on the hook for any of this money. The money's going to be raised, tickets sold, sponsors come in, and if it's all paid for, where is there a problem of having a Ferris wheel here for a month that can benefit the community and the tourists and visitors coming in?
I'm simply reflecting multiple citizens and business owners saying that the Ferris wheel itself, while they support putting something on for the event, for the eclipse, they do not support, they asked me to express their opinions as well as mine, and I share it. I don't deny that. And I put a lot of money into the community as well. I'm not trying to make any comparisons here or anything. I'm saying there is one issue here, and that is the cost of a Ferris wheel for 35 days versus the weekend. And I think you have an opportunity to step back on one aspect and redirect $62,000 to other areas that you may feel that you need to augment.
Is that because
And that's all my request is.
Yeah, I don't
And
believe there's an area that we left out that we felt like that we needed to augment through the planning that we've had. Is there anything?
I mean, is it the local businesses that are concerned with, we're gonna go after them for money and they don't wanna pay? I mean, the thing is how about if sponsors come from other places and it gets paid for? I don't understand what the problem is with the local businesses.
they don't believe, and I share that it's a prudent use of donations, of A&P tax money, of the money that people are paying to come here, the money that they're going to expend renting Airbnbs for that 2 or 3 or whatever, 4 days, however minimum. They feel that once all those revenues are generated, that perhaps it could be redirected in a more prudent manner than $80,000 on a Ferris wheel. That is the bottom line. And based on that, if you want to call for a vote and you don't want to table, you don't want us to come back and reconvene, then I can't possibly, no matter the presentation, and I appreciate every other aspect of it, but if that's it, then I can't support this special use permit.
I do have a couple questions. What are your ticket prices, say for a family of 4, for just one ride?
For one ride?
Yeah, on the Ferris wheel.
We actually set up options, I don't have them all in front of me, but it was $10 for adults to ride the Ferris wheel. One of the options was to buy a pass for a grouping of tickets that could be used. Do you have those in front of you?
I don't.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know, like, about
It's basically,
ticket prices.
we're offering several different packages. We're offering one-day packages just to come into the event for for Saturday only, for Sunday only, for Monday only.
Senior
There's another
discounts,
package that will be a family
children
package for the
discounts.
entire 3 days. So they go on sliding scales as to what each package would cost. But the crux of it is we're expecting about 5,000 people for a 3-day weekend, and we really believe that between that group of people, we're looking at anywhere from $25 to $35 per person for the weekend, for the event itself, not including parking. That does not include what we're getting for our AMPs. I mean, we're working with them now to give them special packaging so they can get discounted packages to go to their customers so they will stay in town longer.
Okay, so how bad is not being able to charge for parking here, because you can't, going to affect your bottom line on being able to afford this whole
Okay.
thing?
It was $5 for Saturday, $10 for Sunday, and $10 for Monday per
That's-
car. So I don't think that's gonna be
It's not going to be a deal changer for
no.
us.
And the only ones that we were talking here, right here, were the ones that we were calling a VIP type parking situation, so they could park and then walk directly over to the event.
Well, actually, their tickets was that, and the parking was made free
Yeah.
for them.
Yep.
So
So
actually,
I don't see that being,
That would be just a city hall parking lot, not the, just to
Correct.
clarify, not
Yes.
the rest of the
Oh.
parking lot, just
Right,
city
Yeah.
hall.
just City Hall. Because you can't charge for, Hardy had the same thing, they wanted to take their park.
There's only 60 parking spaces here, so
Yeah.
Yeah, there's-
that's not going to be a breaking point for us.
And if SID lets you park across the street, then that's SID's.
We've already talked with them, and they're actually that's where they're going to allow us to stage all of our emergency vehicles.
And then you got the restaurant that has all that parking lot there
We've
too.
got- all of that is part of it.
I mean, Mr. Thompson, you make a great point. But they're the ones that are either digging a hole or gonna come out shining like a diamond. So,
Thank you for cleaning that up.
I honestly would let them fly with it and see what happens, because it's not coming out of the city's finances. This is all stuff that generate, and I also was under the impression that you had a turnover from last year, so you have funds sitting there
Yes.
that you can use on this. Do you know
Yes.
what the number is?
I believe it's 80.
And I'll
76,000.
and I'll address that, Mr. Martin, because that's a good point. So currently, there's 76,000 left in reserve, but they have, to your earlier point this evening, they have yet to move 23,000 to cover their current year budget shortfall
Okay.
from reserve. The budget that was at least preliminary, the comment that was made Monday was that next year's budget is the same, so they're going to have another $23,000 shortfall next year. So if you take-
No, that's not what we promised. We told you by the next meeting, we will have that line item adjusted. Deb was in the room with us. She said that we can make sure that happens. So that will be.
And I agree with you. Let me finish for just a moment, Mr. Smith. There has to be a movement of $23,000 over to cover the budget shortfall, which means it comes out of reserve, which means your reserve for 2023 goes from 76 to 53. If, as stated Monday evening, the same $23,000 budget shortfall occurs next year because your anticipated revenues for A&P is 40,000 and you budget 63,000 in expenditures. If that doesn't change, then you reduce your reserves by another 23 in next year, which means your actual adjusted for budget movement is not 76, it's 30. And that is a real starting point when you consider how we fund the shortfall. Just like as we did with the road department, we took 145 from reserves for materials for the road department. And that has to come over as a line item budget, and it reduces those reserves. It does the same thing for every department, and A&P is no different. So, to answer Mr. Martin's question, your starting point is really net of commitment already is 30,000.
Okay.
I do have another question. Has anybody contacted Spring River to make sure that there's going to be an ambulance on standby? Because they have to have lots of notice and somebody has to pay for that.
You're asking me if we've notified the ambulance that we're having a major event? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, because it is required for you to have an ambulance on standby for any event this big, and the ambulance department has to be contacted way ahead of time, and there is a fee.
Okay, well, we're 6 months out, and we didn't want to jump ahead on those things until we nailed it down, because it's hard to give them information if we don't know for sure exactly what we're doing. And so absolutely, that's something I appreciate that.
This is the point where we start so we can spread out and accomplish all of our, we can't go out and accomplish 27 things and then have this shut down at city council. That's a lot of work for nothing. So.
And I do also want to say, I've also had people from the community contact me over this, and they do have an issue with the whole 30-day thing, and it wasn't the issue he was talking about. It was the issue of, well, after the eclipse, everybody goes back to work. You're going to have all these people coming in and out. It's going to cause traffic issues. We already have traffic issues with the school just right down the road. And that's a concern. I mean, it's my job just to bring it, hey, this is what people have came to me. But it's a traffic issue, and there's just concerns on that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's unfortunate. I'd like to see people excited about great things coming to the area, and being able to provide opportunities for people that live here too, not just for our special guests. I know back when the Hardy Craft Show used to be, we wouldn't be anywhere in town because we didn't want to be stuck in the traffic that you're talking about. And so our goal with having the Ferris wheel here a longer amount of time was so that locals would have a chance to come and experience it if they're not here on Eclipse weekend.
When did you start talking about the Ferris wheel?
When did we start talking about it?
Ferris wheel came up in our July meeting, and then we just generally a Ferris wheel, and then you started pulling in specifics in our August meeting.
So I got quotes from different Ferris wheel companies, and we started looking at different sizes of them. And this one has LED lights. Some of them didn't have lights. Some of them were shorter. Some of them were twice the cost. Some of them came with extra, carousel and things like that too. So we kind of looked around. And then this gentleman has been in Arkansas twice this year, and just recently in July. And so he has permits for 20 different states. He's insured and bonded, has his inspections up to date, and so we thought that was all positive.
I'd like to ask the attorney, I know Mr. Thompson kind of hit on it. If this does go to litigation, and I hope it don't, trust me, I'm all for this. I don't have an issue with it. My job is to protect the city. If that goes to litigation, let's say they have a complete rain out all weekend, this is springtime, it happens, and they can't pay these contracts, and it goes to litigation, is there any chance at all the city's gonna get drugged into this?
Shouldn't, because they're big boys and they're contracting with a separate entity. They're not contracting with the city.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
That was one of my main concerns.
everybody gets sued for everything. So.
Yeah.
Anymore, yeah.
But ours is rain or shine.
I understand. And
Rain or
it does
shine and
nothing to do
pre-sale on the
with it.
tickets.
That's just a lot of money, $145,000 for
Yes,
this
sir,
city
it
is a
is.
lot of money.
Yes, sir.
It's not, this city's not paying that. Okay, we are going outside to other people we're not asking the citizens of Cherokee Village to foot the 145. We have every intention of hitting, as soon as it's a yes tonight, we've already got everything lined up. We are going to have people up for dinner. I mean, we have got this planned so that we have the resources in front of us before the event even starts.
That was just my main concern, was protecting the city.
Yeah.
And my last question.
Yes, sir.
So I realize we have to vote up or down on this issue.
Yes, sir.
So the commission, to be clear, is unwilling to adjust any aspect on the Ferris wheel and resubmit.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you have to have 6 votes to be able to pass it. Yes? No, it's a resolution, 5. But it's a resolution, so,
Miss Pam still
It's not a
online?
resolution.
She is. Pam, you're still there?
I am. I do have a question
Okay.
when everyone else is done.
Go for it, Miss
Go
Pam.
ahead.
Okay, my question is, what was the reasoning why we could not adjust the special use permit tonight?
It's all in one resolution.
Well, it's just
So
special use
it
permit.
wouldn't work the same way like we do with ordinances. Sometimes with ordinances, we say we're gonna pass this with this taken out or this added in or this corrected.
Now, you've been asked a specific question. A&P Commission has asked for this special use permit. So, they could voluntarily want to change it. Other than that, it's just a yes or no vote.
Did you get that, Pam?
I got part of it. Can you just tell me real quick?
Yeah, this is what has been requested by the AMP, and unless later on AMP wants to make adjustments to it, this is what's before council.
So let me ask this. So if it passed tonight as is, then the AMP could have the opportunity to come forward at the next council meeting and say, we would like to adjust our special use permit that has already been passed.
We could do that, yes.
And let me ask Mr. Abel for just a clarification of what he said, since you didn't hear it, Ms. Rowland. And that is, his response was, the question was put forward to the AMP Commission tonight on this request. Were they willing to change the request tonight and put it up for vote? And the answer was no. So my comment to that is, if the answer to that tonight is no, why would it change in the next 30 days before the next city council meeting?
Well, is all of the AMP Commission there?
Yes.
So,
Jonathan is not here.
Patrick's not here.
Patrick, okay, I wasn't asked that question either, Mr. Thompson, so I would say that one person speaking for the whole AMP is probably not sufficient.
Well, I offered the opportunity to table the request and have us come back tomorrow on a Saturday. I'll give up a Saturday, or Monday. You know, I can't imagine that, but I gladly would come back in and reconvene for a special vote if you all want to turn around and come back here tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon. I'll gladly do that and table this so it doesn't go for an up or down vote.
is that a motion?
Well, can I express my opinion real quick?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Miss Pam.
Okay. Here is my stance, just so everybody knows. I'm for this event, of course, and I do like the idea of keeping the Ferris wheel for the 35 days because we can tie other events to it, and because it is kind of the kickstart to the month before our big tourist season starts. However, I'm also a believer in listening to our businesses who collect that A&P tax from our citizens and visitors that pay that A&P tax. So I see both sides here. So I'm trying to find a middle ground here to where the A&P can start moving forward to start securing funding and to getting the website up and running and the information out there, because we do need to get on that ASAP. But on the other hand, I agree that the AMP needs to have this discussion of the feedback that has come back, simply because that is the money that we collect. That's not the money we go out and earn. That's not the money that comes out of our personal pockets. So I'm trying to find a middle ground. And I'm sure by now all of y'all are like, why did she come back to council tonight? But I would like to find a middle ground here. It's my understanding that the reason why this needs to be passed tonight is so those moves can start to be made. But at the same time, there needs to be a holdback to rediscuss the 35 days on the Ferris wheel. So if we can't pass it, with the exception of the 35 days on the Ferris wheel, then could we pass it, let A&P have this discussion with the intention of coming back to council and giving an answer on whether or not, you know, what our plan is with the Ferris wheel? Or do you guys feel like that would be putting the cart before the horse? If so, then we need to get A&P together quickly, have this conversation, and then try to reconvene council in a special meeting to pass whatever has been, pass or fail, whatever has been decided.
And the only way to do that is what Mr. Thompson said, was to table this, let it go to A&P, let them do their thing, and see if they're going to come back and change it. That gives everybody time, because if we pass it now, then there's no reason to come back. Correct?
Correct.
So Rob, let me ask you this, how fast do you think A&P could have this discussion so that we're not, I mean, because we don't want to hold up A&P from doing the things that we need to be doing to secure the funding and moving forward. How fast do you think that could happen? Because I just want to make one comment here about our businesses and our citizens. The last thing you want to do, especially if you are getting feedback from those entities that they're not for this and they're not an appreciation of it, is to spit in their face and say, well, we're going to do it anyway, and then we're going to go out and ask for sponsors.
How about
So, I mean, it's a good faith effort to say, hey, maybe we do need to look at this, the 35 days part. I'm not against the Ferris wheel at all. But re-looking at the 35 days, I mean, how quick could we get together and try to make that happen?
The Ferris wheel is key to our marketing, so.
Well, and plus you've got Pie Fest at the end of the month, so they're trying to.
I mean, and Pam, the conversations that we did have in A&P is the way that we would use this as a collective marketing tool, and that's kind of where we had launched. I mean, we wanted it to pay for itself and then be able to use the Ferris wheel for like video shots and things that we've done in the past, but really pull this thing in so we could use it for a lot of other things. And that was kind of, I mean, we were going to take off days and use that for video shoots and stuff like that. So I can't answer for Jonathan. I know our last discussion on this was we had everything pretty much firmed up on what we could. We weren't going to waste any space. We weren't going to waste any days on this. I mean, we were definitely going to push this thing and make it work for itself. And I think that's where we're stymied at, that, you know, we, for some strange reason, we can't get that vision across to this council right now to make them understand, or to get them to understand that this isn't just about the weekend. This is about promotion for Cherokee Village, and we're not. And this is going to sound very bad, but we're not promoting to the citizens of Cherokee Village. We're promoting to the citizens of Tennessee and the citizens of Georgia and Little Rock and St. Louis. I mean, that's where we're trying to cast this net. I mean, we're trying to put Cherokee Village on a map and a map to scale, and that's kind of why we came up with this idea.
Okay, so let me interrupt and let me say this. So, what if it was put out in a different aspect? Instead of looking at the $80,000 for the eclipse, if you break it down to the other events that we're going to tie into this and the other usages, maybe it needs to be put out to the public in a different way, to where you break that down. What percentage of that money, how much of that money is invested in each event that's going to happen and each promotion that's going to happen? That makes it look a lot different than just, hey, $80,000 for an eclipse.
You're right.
So maybe the burden was to be on us, the A&P, to remarket that and kind of re-educate and re-promote that to the public.
Yeah, I mean, we're not paying to rent this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I mean, we're only paying to rent it on the Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays for those weekends. So, and that's when the other events are taking place. And so maybe you're right. I mean, Mr. Thompson, would this sound better if we said that we're spending $20,000 for a Ferris wheel for the Pie Festival?
The contractor signing is for $80,000, whether you have it or, and the opportunity you have is to sit there and say, you have a Ferris wheel that you're going to spend $18,000 when you have all of these people coming in from out of state, out of country, whatever, and it dovetails in. I don't object to the Ferris wheel, nor has anyone who has expressed their concern object to the Ferris wheel for what is bringing people here from so far. But to then go spend an additional $62,000 to have it here on Easter weekend when people go and celebrate the death and resurrection of Christ, and they go and celebrate the Pie Festival or whatever, then I think that spending that extra $62,000 on those weekends, whether we're talking 3 weekends or 4 additional weekends, is what people are focused on that are giving feedback to me. And if you don't give an either or if there's no negotiation and this is it tonight, then no, I'm not voting to spend an additional $62,000 for the weekends of Easter and the Pie Festival and those other weekends. I do agree.
We can just go back to doing other things.
Well, let me ask this. So,
Call for the question.
would the public and would the businesses have a problem if that whole 80 grand was split up into different things that we did?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to ask.
That's where I'm trying to get to the bottom, so I can understand exactly where they're coming from. Because at the end, you've spent 80 grand. So is it they don't like that 80 grand's going into one thing to benefit different events, or is it that they just don't want 80 grand spent, period?
Mayor, I'd like to call for the question.
Call for a vote.
Roll call. Good.
Roll call vote.
Please.
Roll call vote, please.
And the motion is?
To approve.
To approve this permit.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Jeff Tatum.
No.
Roland.
Yes, and I would like to state that it is something I will bring back up with A&P to look at to maybe consider changing. But yes, I voted yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
You can't vote.
She abstained. Rachel Tatum.
No.
Thompson.
No.
Martin.
Abstain?
Smith.
Yes.
2 abstains, 3 noes, and 3 yeses. Does not pass.
That's it.
Well, we got a lot of free time.
Got any more?
And now we're down to the end.
Questions from the public?
Now we're down to the comments and questions for city business. We had one person signed up, Roxanne Hilton. If you want to approach the podium, state your name and address.
Hi, Roxanne Hilton on 111 Iroquois Drive. I'm here tonight because I worked at recycling a month or so ago, and often the side was some equipment, and I asked what that was, and it's playground equipment for Tohai Trail. And I'd like to know why it's not being installed.
Because we only have one person to do it, and he's got a lot of other things to do.
Well, that's not really what I heard, but
Okay, you tell me what you heard then.
I heard that there was a lot of other questions about insurance and liability and what kind of base to put down and all of that. That's what I heard.
Okay, but I know there's only one person that's putting it up. And he's doing a lot of other things right now. He's got the recycling center going on this weekend. We're dropping off bulk items there. And that's a Saturday, correct, Mayor?
Yes, yes.
And he is also our,
I know what he is.
yeah. So, I mean, that's the only person I know doing it.
If
Yeah.
a group of citizens wanted to put it in, would that be permissible?
We'd have to ask the lawyer if we could do that as far as liability and stuff is concerned, because I don't think it can.
Yeah, I'll get with Mr. Abel and look into that.
Okay, can it be an agenda item for next month, or would you, how am I gonna find out what's going on?
You can-
Call you?
Yeah, I can get your name and phone number. I got your name. What's your phone number? I'll get.
815-721-3746.
Alrighty.
Yeah, he's been working on that for a while, as far as assembling what's there.
I was trying to think of the guy's name. It's not Jerry Triska. What's the other guy? Is it Triska?
Yeah.
Yes, Jerry Triska was supposed to be the one installing it.
Jerry?
Yes. He was going to install it. Yeah, I'll get with the attorney and get with you. It'll be next week, but I'll get with you.
Next week.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I have a question,
Yes, Mr. Eastman.
and it may just be me being a dummy, but, so why wasn't Heather permitted to vote on that?
Well, because the land that they're putting this on is what we just voted that you could sign that lease form.
Okay.
That's my reasoning on the issue.
I wasn't sure.
Would that have changed the outcome?
I don't know.
No, he
It would have
hadn't.
given you 4
No,
months.
you'd have to have 5. It wouldn't have changed
I
it.
didn't know, I was just curious.
Any citizens' comments? No, Ed? State your name and address for the record, please.
Ed Soja, 72 Boanna Drive. Just a couple of questions on the Ferris wheel. If it's going to be up there for 35 days, but only used on the weekends, what's the liability of it just sitting there during the whole week when God only knows?
The company that runs the Ferris wheel, they actually will bring a camper in, and they stay on site for the entire time.
Okay.
This is the way they run it everywhere they go.
And
They
it's
just
been-
left Cersei, and this is the way they handle it.
And it's fenced off. And they keep it fenced off.
Fenced off, okay. Now correct me if I'm wrong. If we run it for 1 weekend, for 5 days, that's 18,000. But if we run it for 35 days, but only use it on the weekends, that's 4 weekends, times 18,000 is only 72.
It's kind of a moot point. We're not going to do it. So, yeah. Thanks for the math.
All right.
Any more business to come before the city, by the city? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. Okay.
Motion by Mr. Martin, seconded by Mr. Ishmael to adjourn. Thank you all.